All right, what's up, gamers? We're going to be getting back into some more Counter-Strike action. I think this one's going to be pretty sick, to be fair. It is getting into the late hours. You know, we're getting a bit looser, a bit wilder, which, you know, try and reserve some energy for that final, of course. It is getting relatively late. We've actually got 3 games back to back because SuckMyGlock, the legends that they are, of course, have been kind of sitting out a little while. They played a lot of games early on, and now they've kind of been chilling for a few hours. So they've got to play their games, and the issue is they're 3-0, so they can actually contend to get into that final at the moment because they have 3 games in hand. So we do have to play them out, you know, and see where things go. Obviously, if they lose the next 2 in a row, then they're kind of out of the proceedings, I would feel, especially with bowlcutbandits. This is a really, really important one because I feel like, you know, the BCB boys have been doing very well throughout the day. So this is a really important matchup for both teams to win at this point for that spot in the final alongside CEX. And
especially the fact that I think SuckMyGlock have to play against CEX as well. That they'll have to face off against 2 of the people that currently sit at the top of the brackets and at the top of the scoreboard of this round-robin system. So each and every game is as important as the next, but I think, like you said, losing 2 would certainly pull them out of contention.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how things go. They will start on the CT side of Inferno. Amsa with a very nice opening kill, but there's just no support. KPM cannot get a follow-up kill. As he does fall, the B-bomb site fully conceded, and the bowlcutbandits will be able to secure a plant as well as take deep CT's control.
Ooh, that is not good for Royal either, as he gets pushed down to 1 HP, but still manages to find the kill on Miami, formerly M1. As we kind of recognize that name. Greg's does well to wait patiently to play it. Not ready for the second, though, as he didn't spot him, clearly didn't hear him. Going to be awkward. There is a kit available for Royal, but still on 1 HP. It's planted for CT as well. Royal an easy find in the end for Zach Shell, and so is Thistle. Really good stuff coming through, as it will be the first round going the way of the bowlcutbandits. I think immediately coming into this matchup, just to kind of touch on it, you know, we have some strong-ish individuals on the SuckMyGlock side. I remember Amsa, and I want to say Royal as well being relatively good in places.
Yeah.
But the bowlcutbandits are kind of, you know, again, arguably alongside CEX, they just maybe a level below, a little bit more coordinated as a team. And, you know, need to remind you guys, the first game of the day, way back when, they actually took a match from CEX. You know, they beat them in the best of 1 scenario. So this has been a bit of a dicey one, though. I thought I could talk over it because it was only the USPs. However, they've lost 3 players.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to win the round in the end, but it's costly for bowlcutbandits.
Yeah, and this is, I suppose, another thing we can touch on is the fact that SuckMyGlock have shown a very high tendency, especially when we casted them on Overpass, to favor that double-up setup in the hands of Gregs and KPM, who both had massive impact in the series that we did watch. So I imagine we'll see something similar on Inferno. A double-up setup isn't something completely off the cards. You have that deep banana presence and even those peaks down middle, but SuckMyGlock are fully committing to this. The SMG's recovered from the early aggression.
Got some nades on deck, looking spicy.
I think the biggest issue for them in this round will be no kit, is what I was going to touch on.
Perfectly timed. As I do believe the AK being retrieved, just a little bit buggy on the UI. But yeah, I mean, very high amount of damage done by the retrieved UMP of Royal, and then Thistle finding those final 2 kills. So it's good money earned. And again, like you say, they like to support this double-up setup. Not going to go for it early on. However, Greg's on the glass cannon. Probably could have been dropped one across. A bit confused by that, to be frank. But they've got a really good buyout here, in all honesty. Despite that fact, you know, a fair amount of utility, a lot of head armor and things across the board, meaning that Mac 10 not quite going to be as deadly as it sometimes can be. So, certainly interesting. No Orgs coming out, though, despite the fact that they did have an extra boost in cash. So there is that to consider. Certainly, you know, things that can really turn the tide of battle, but we will see. Moving into the early round exchanges. Nice little flash over the top towards Banana. This Mac 10 going to be a thorn in the side towards the A site. Just a bit of a distraction. Maybe they're going to end up moving there. You know, they're keeping the CTs guessing. The off angle from Thistle, though, on top of the pallet works out initially, however gets greedy on the reface and will get taken down by Zatchel. So a 4 versus 4 as the rotation's going to start to come in.
Smoke towards Deep Library will secure a bit of space. That does seem like they want to wrap on towards this B bomb site. A player still sitting at top banana. This player lurking in towards the arches, trying to see if he can't siphon off that rotation. Amza's going to be the one that ultimately holds this position down for SuckMyGlock. He'll slowly begin to realize that the end goal wasn't the A site, instead over towards B. He's now going to start making progress over. It's going to be into the hands of KPM to really shut this down. He holds from the new box. There's no smoke in towards CT, so bowlcut, although they do get themselves onto the bomb site, they don't clear out the corner. KPM's able to spring into action and find the 1 kill, but it's traded back twofold by bowlcutbandits, and now it's all into the hands of Miami in the 1-on-2, and he has 9 HP to work with.
Going to be difficult for him. Moving in together as well makes the trades easier, but not even required as Royal finds the first kill. Easy defuse, and the first gun round going the way of SuckMyGlock. It is certainly difficult for them. But bowlcutbandits are being tested early on, and due to the close nature of, you know, the second round particularly, they are going to be forced onto a half buy at best, I would have thought. They're forced kind of out of the question at this point.
Yeah, and all the damage done in the second round meant that they didn't have all the utility that they wanted to commit to a B-site play. You could see just by the lack of a CT smoke, there's no Molotovs on the B-bomb site as you typically expect from a B execute. And so SuckMyGlock, although they weren't able to walk away with round number 2, certainly the impact of it having a significant enough influence on round number 3. It does get them their first CT side round, like you had mentioned. So Amza will be on the AUG. Greg's still on the AWP. Does have armor this time instead. Not quite the shortcoming that we saw before, but bowlcut reduced to just the upgraded pistols. I do believe this should be a tech issue if anybody's calling a pause this early. Losing 1 gun round, I imagine there's some complaint that has been made, but it has since been resolved, and the bowlcutbandits will now attempt to steal away around from SuckMyGlock, and there's certainly the potential for it to happen, especially over towards Banana with so many SMGs in their arsenal. They could really make a lot of progress towards that site faster than SuckMyGlock may anticipate, but it's instead a fast second mid play that that SuckMyGlock won't be able to spot out early on.
Shot into the middle. Wide peek from Thistle as well, as he will go down to try and compensate, I guess. Protect Greg's. Difficult to tell. Going to get a bit of damage in
From his teammate.
From his teammate, yeah. I was going to say, I swear that marker came up behind, or am I losing the plot? But no. It was a bit of a reactionary mistake from Amza. The bomb itself is going to be going onto that B-bomb site maybe, or are they just kind of trying to fake things out? This is, you know, kind of the nuance of Inferno for me, the rotational play on that T side, similar to Overpass, where you can move throughout the map, and it's very, very difficult for the CTs to hear or see where you are going, and to gain the information as to are they rotating away is very costly in terms of utility and possibly manpower if it is unsuccessful. So something like this, as you can see, you know, you kind of had Greg's was moving towards A, thinking it was going to be A, now he's drawn back towards B for the time being. Amza does get one, but a good take on towards the A bomb site, 4 versus 2. I feel like it's just going to have to be the save from SuckMyGlock. Really well done by bowlcutbandits to just bait them out, keep those CTs guessing, keep them moving around the map. And they do really well to clear out the pit and site areas as well. Perfectly played, to be fair. I mean, it couldn't be much better than that.
Yeah, the fact that they draw out the rotations just by 2 grenades flying over towards the B bomb site left the A site exposed. bowlcutbandits may actually want to hunt a couple of these weapons down if they can with these SMGs. You can see Miami getting a little bit inquisitive. Will upgrade himself to an AK. The AK that was stolen away in round number 2 by Thistle. We'll be back into loving arms terrorists, and the bowlcutbandits keep 4 alive, meaning that their economy is in a pretty decent spot to reinvest on the 1 player in square, as well as have some additional cash moving forward into the half. SuckMyGlock, however, all sitting around kind of 2k. They're just going to invest in a couple of pistols, a single flashbang as well on Amza, to maybe help support Greg's and KPM in their endeavor with these weapons in hand.
Orp gonna have to go huge here then. Leaving the FAMAS. Ooh, beautiful shot from Greggs though. I was gonna say leaving the FAMAS on B is not the best of ideas. Are you in the FAMAS camp or are you in the FAMAS camp? Very subtle difference.
FAMAS.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I feel like it was closer to the second one.
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, a bit dicey here for bowlcutbandits as they lose another player, and you know this 2-man advantage now for the CT side. Royal in behind as well, can catch off Square pretty easily there. Really key kill to find. He gets himself an AK. Sure, no armor, but it's another rifle that they have to contend with, which is scary. Really scary, to be honest. Still have a fair amount of utility to play with to try and move back in towards. You can see, very nice cam path. The smoke to go over the top towards CT. No, I think it is designed
it's
for
supposed
CT,
to be for CT, yeah.
but the lineup not quite perfect. And there we go. They do have another one available, but it's kind of a smoke that didn't need to be used. Certainly gives the play away a little bit ahead of time. Nice find by Miami though. Amza up close and personal with the 250 high ankle, but Miami takes him down as well. Now brought back into a doable scenario. I mean, the AWP and the AK without armor, without hits, not ideal, but Greggs is here fast. Takes down Lukin just after he planted the bomb. Miami looking for this 4K, going to be very low indeed. A harsh one for him, gets spotted out. He can go for the wallbang, but he's not going to try. He waits patiently and it pays off. Second round for SuckMyGlock, and it's one that they definitely should not have taken at this point. A really weak buy from them, but the AWP especially goes absolutely huge to pull through.
Yeah, and that's the value of saving those weapons when the odds are stacked against you. The AWP from the previous round pays forward into round number 5. 3 crucial kills there from Greg. The opening pick in towards bottom middle, as well as the supporting cast with the pistols in the apartments. The bowlcutbandits were certainly caught off guard by that presence, and the SuckMyGlock camp are now invested into double up setup, but they will instantly lose one in Greggs.
Yeah, he's feeling it from the last round, but maybe a bit too much, as he did get fairly aggressive there, and it costs him quite a bit. Beautiful little case harden, have to say. Don't normally comment on the skins and stuff all that much, but it's getting to that time of day, you know, to be honest. So I've got to find the enjoyment, the energy from somewhere.
A few rare skins every now and again.
Yeah,
always nice to see.
Sure. Especially the case, you don't see it so much anymore because they're always releasing AK skins, right? But you know, it's a tough one to pull out the classics. Got a bit of a Jaguar, you know. I always like the Jaguar. Anyway, hit coming in towards the A-bomb side here. Royal does a good job in the off angle to find one. However, it's immediately traded back. It's Thistle here with the AWP, getting very aggressive indeed to try and find the bomb planter, looking to find a low HP square and the no-scope. He finds a third round for SuckMyGlock. It's been a crazy one. The AWPs right now are so good for the CT side, so random, so difficult to deal with. And they even up the scoreline, again, in a round that they kind of had no right in taking. It was a good take on a clean plant. That's kind of the argument, you know, for sure you can get that default plant that allows to short the pit area, but you have no site control. You have no long pressure when you plant there. And that is a perfect example. Thistle just pushes straight in and abuses them while they're getting into their post plants, while they're getting off the bomb. Oh, and that's some fat damage on the nade. I'm going to try and rush through this smoke though. Flash! Good for one, but so very blind. We'll at least get the bomb plant off the back of it.
And an AWP that they could potentially overwhelm. Square does manage to salvage that weapon for that T side, pushing even further forward. He'll take down the AWP in Greggs, and surely now 4 versus 2. A couple of weapons recovered here by that T side. SuckMyGlock, this isn't one that you should contend with because Square is just picking them apart with the AWP. Thistle will try his best to hold on to that AWP dropped by Greggs, but instead gets rushed straight through the smoke. That's a round that, similarly to how SuckMyGlocks have been able to get a couple of rounds that they shouldn't win, that bowlcutbandits have no real right in winning, especially with so much damage being done by the utility. I think just touching on that point as well, when you're saying, when you're sort of talking about taking a site control as well, that is why so many teams do smoke off that moto position, because it means that those players on the rotation can't have as much impact as Thistle did on a retake. Satchel will start off the round with a kill onto Thistle, peeking that close corner. SuckMyGlock's only on pistols for now. Obviously not Glocks because they sit on the CT side, but eventually there'll be a chance to make use of the fact that they've got a weapon in their name. Miami finishing off the remaining 2 B players. That will mean that bowlcutbandits will begin to push on forward. Of course, they don't want to give any weapons for free to SuckMyGlocks if that is at all possible. So not rushing into anything just yet.
They will actually move closer towards Royal, though. Time peak could have picked up a kill. Unfortunately, Square was ready. They were waiting patiently. Just playing it slowly. Cool, calm, and collected. Miami wants to find this kill for sure. Again, Greg's given a bit of an opportunity, but not able to capitalize. So a very clean anti-eco to secure their 5th. It will be a fairly easy round for them. And again, SuckMyGlock going to have to eco this one out. So not really ideal. Probably one of the very first double ecos of the day that we've actually seen.
Yeah.
So spicy to say the least. A few upgraded pistols and a bunch of HE nades. Let's see what they got planned for these.
Will be oh, that's gonna land right on top of Thistle. Yikes. Not quite what we were expecting. A bit more damage onto the T side maybe, but instead
he's kind of barged.
They've done a total of 1 damage with the grenades, and they've done 40 to their teammates.
Good stuff.
Certainly not the investment they were looking for, considering so many players buy up those HEs, but ooh, Miami gets the first and then the second transfer straight through the wood. Thistle does get a response frag just before he falls, but SuckMyGlock at a severe disadvantage. Obviously had a severe disadvantage in spite of losing those players just based on the weaponry. And as bowlcutbandits begin to progress onto the side, they should just be able to overwhelm by numbers as well as the sort of artillery in weaponry. Royal does get Miami in towards middle, but that will not prevent the plant here from bowlcutbandits, and they'll be able to lock things in. But it doesn't seem like they're really guarding those dropped weapons too much. There's a chance that SuckMyGlock could recover those and really just bring them into the next round if they so choose.
They are massive ballers. Not going to go for that. Ooh, they're going to opt instead to try and get some more frags. However, Ams has got his hands onto an AWP. Surely going to try and save this. Nice kill. Not quite the one tap I thought it was, but Lucan nonetheless going to fall. And this is a much better, you know, quasi-buy round from SuckMyGlock. They do so much damage. Kind of juxtaposition in the past couple rounds. bowlcutbandits get a really clean anti-eco and then a bit of a messy one. Might actually end up losing another player here. Cynic not going to go for it though.
Stop running.
Yeah, he's a smart boy. Maybe shift tabbing by accident.
Yeah, fist bumping.
Indeed, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
See, I don't think for a round like that they can't really be reacting that well because it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't the cleanest of anti-ecos.
Yeah.
And of course, that gives up an AWP into the hands of SuckMyGlock, who have shown
Indeed
a fair amount of proficiency on those weapons. Whether it's Greg's, KPM, or Thistle, as we saw him pull off something ridiculous in the 1-on-2. Amza with the AWP that he recovered from the previous round finds 2 kills. KPM as well chiming in. Cynic and Lucan, the last 2 remaining players here for the bowlcutbandits, deploying utility in towards the churches. Will at least delay the rotations for SuckMyGlock, but they'll hold the numbers advantage for now, and Cynic in the 1-on-5 can get nothing done. That's a 4K for Amza off that saved AWP.
Yeah. There you go, every little helps, you know. It really does shine through that those small mistakes, it's where a lot of teams would opt to, oh, we've dropped an AWP, gotta get rid of that one. You know, very, very dangerous. And that definitely showing it, takes the initiative, does a really good job to open up early on. As there will be a
timeout.
Tactical timeout.
Yeah.
So
it's
spicy.
So that's every other pause we've had up until now just been a tech pause?
Pretty much, I think.
Huh.
I.e. a toilet break.
Yep.
But kind of like this, kind of appreciate this. You know, it's pretty good stuff. Obviously, they did just win the previous round, but they're now in a position where, you know, they could get their economy a little bit broken if they lost this one. Do have a bit of money saved up, but it's an opportunity for them to squeeze back in, close the gap. So you might as well use these timeouts. And again, you know, the stakes are high. This is a really important game. Both teams performing pretty well here today, and it is a question of who will make it through to the final, supposedly alongside CEX, I would have thought at this point.
Well, because of the order of the games, I actually think with this win, if bowlcutbandits walk away with it, that puts them at the top of the bracket, because obviously they've played one more game than CEX.
Yeah. And then CEX have to then win against SuckMyGlock.
But of course, it's still a pretty tight-knit affair. bowlcutbandits have lost a lot of weapons in rounds where SuckMyGlock only have a couple of pistols and a couple of saved weapons. And in fact, conceded a few of those rounds as well. So certainly not going to be an easy task for bowlcutbandits to secure a finals spot, or at least secure themselves at the top of the bracket. SuckMyGlock, every single round and every single game that they play from here on out could determine whether they even contend for that final slot. You can see after the timeout as well, bowlcutbandits are playing a lot more reserved. Instead of taking aggressive banana control, they're playing far back. Miami just making sure that there's nobody pushing on that CT side. Meanwhile, Thistle will take the duel in towards middle and successfully walk away from that engagement, taking down Zatchel.
Timeout seemingly paying dividends so far. Easy brackets control coming through. Arguably a bit too much utility used. You know, it's not a highly contested area these days. Although again, at this kind of level, I suppose a lot of people still in the old Inferno mindset. I know I'm one of them. I do miss that map, to be fair. I wish there was a way you could kind of legacy play maps, do you know what I mean? Especially Inferno. It was a bit of a busted map, but the best of times spent on that map, apart from, I guess, playing Halo Reach. Anyway, side, we get a good couple of kills through here. Greggs is in with the 2K, and that makes this round a bit more doable now for SuckMyGlock. Certainly, you know, these rotators can be late. Going to be smoked out at Moto as well, a very difficult smoke to deal with. You kind of have to just walk around it. There isn't a second one to come through, but all the same, KPM needs to go huge here for his side, to be honest. I think this AWP of Amza as well going to be fairly useless. Molotov in, not really finding anything. KPM is slowly, surely making his way in. He is behind Miami, not expecting it. The no-scope surely from Amza as well. As the defuse just about comes in time with those kits. A 5th round for SuckMyGlock, as they kind of, once again, pull that one back. Greggs, you know, we didn't get to see it or whatever. It didn't look huge, but it's a key 2K to keep them in contention. Yeah,
equal numbers, a lot easier to fight back in the retake situation if Greggs doesn't line up those 2 kills. We had highlighted him previously on the AWP. He had been hitting shot after shot on overpass, but able to perform with the rifle when necessary. Of course, he will be gifted that weapon coming into this round. Amza's the one that dropped it over. We'll see if he's able to repeat that success instead with his weapon of choice. bowlcutbandits, instead of the passive setup that they went with last round, are instead being a bit more proactive here to take banana control once again, waiting for the proper amount of utility. SuckMyGlock haven't committed too much just yet, still playing back towards the sites. And they don't want to be making a misstep here. Amza will smoke things up at the top of banana, make sure that any information is denied by bowlcuts. But that's really the objective, is to bleed out utility from that CT side, and it's successful, but they don't want to be conceding players while they're doing that.
Nice trade back to give them a bit more of a chance. And through the smoke, or on the edge of the smoke actually, it's not a great CT smoke, is able to get one, but very quickly dealt with. However, you've got this quick rotation from Greggs to keep the pressure on, you know, and not allow them to get an advanced position into the church area. Certainly important. A lot of utility going to go down. The B-bomb site of Inferno, probably the hardest bomb site in the entire game to retake when you're in a scenario that's even or at a disadvantage. However, they are fighting back and winning the round. I was going to say winning the advantage, but Thistle, with a very quick final kill, pulls it to a 6-6. SuckMyGlock and bowlcutbandits certainly seem to be on a very similar level here, as every round is very close, very neck and neck until the final few moments.
And that's 3 successful retakes as well by SuckMyGlock in a row. In fact, all of them. They're all winning by defuse. Even in that second round, it got extremely close. They could have potentially won it with the recovered SMGs, but tied up, like you say, neck and neck. SuckMyGlock Still the double up setup to deal with. bowlcutbandits trying to pick up the pace with more pressure applied towards Banana, but the lack of presence over towards A early on into the round, especially with Thistle kind of peering in through middle, maybe gives up a bit too much information for SuckMyGlock. So they could potentially cheat a rotation over, but they don't want to make any hasty decisions, especially since bowlcutbandits within those first 2 or 3 rounds already showed that they like to go for some of those fake executes. We saw Miami running distraction previously for the side.
Ooh, nice aggression from Thistle here. Really good payoff. We'll get traded. The 1-for-1 trade is not something we've had a great deal of time to talk about today, but of course, working out a bit more for the T side in most scenarios, because you give up so much control as a CT. You know, as you can see, they edge now closer towards A because it weakens the A defense in theory. Banking on the fact that they're playing a conventional setup, which they are in this round, but yeah. Again, it just denies a bit of information away from your opponents. Nice find by KPM though. It will be an early advantage, but directly a 3 versus 2 and on the site. So if they can win it cleanly, they'll back the advantage. First kill to come through. The plant once again not giving them too much slack. Gregs is getting a bit aggressive. Satchel snuck in towards the site, so it's into a 2 versus 2 now with a few trades here, there, and everywhere.
Getting a bit overzealous before his teammates have successfully made the rotation. Tagged up as well as Amza coming in through library. Zatchel playing the headshot angle, finds the first and the second as well. Both players partially flashed up by Square. Good display of teamwork to time the peaks perfectly. And SuckMyGlocks this time will be denied the retake. It's bowlcutbandits to get themselves into round number 7. But they still need to fight back against all of that reserve cash that SuckMyGlocks have been able to accumulate. The Nova is out by Thistle. I know you're appreciative of the shotguns when they do come into play.
Yeah, dude. It's rabbit season. You know? And the Nova is a pretty classic hunting shotgun. Bit of a farm shotgun. I don't think in real life, because, you know, it's a game. But it looks like it could be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the longest distance shotgun in the game.
Baby. Love it. Love it. Love a good Nova. Although for me, it is probably the most inconsistent of the shotguns.
Absolutely.
You know, the sword off, you kind of know what you're getting. Close range or bust. Mag 7, pretty good. Nova, a bit poop though. It's a bit poop. But now they've made it really cheap, so maybe it's not.
Of course, holding from the apartments, he can play up close, but missing the first.
You see what I mean?
Trying to dance around.
You see what I mean? Oh god! But in from short comes Miami. The Moto smoke as well. Gregs will trade one back, bring it into a 3 versus 3, but they've lost the bomb site. Very late rotation here from Amza as well. This is going to be difficult, to be honest. 2 AWPs, not really much utility. There's that Molotov going to cut off, you know. A bit early there from Zatchel, actually, so it's not going to cut off anybody. Slightly awkward. Slowly but surely moving. Quick dink from KPM. However, they're in such hard spots to deal with. This one up high, but KPM doing so much damage right now for his team. Probably could have taken down all of them, if I'm honest. Very low HPs across the board. Very little time as well, but the kill comes in. KPM on the kit. Ooh, that's a bit of a blunder. I think he's still going to have time, but it's going to be very, very close.
Oh my goodness.
Man alive, that was almost a huge mistake, but nonetheless, 7th round for SuckMyGlock.
Amza in the panic almost tries to stick it without the kit on his belt. Oof. Glad they got that communicated in time. I imagine it was extremely frantic. Get off the bomb!
A good half a second, if that, of you know, margin for error.
Yeah, and the issue there was that Miami falls the first out of all those players there for bowlcutbandits. The remaining 2 players tagged down low from earlier fights, so they couldn't really commit to a wide swing to all face that Moto position together. So as a result, it did ultimately cost them the round. I think if Miami played a bit more reserved, had a low HP player spot for information first, maybe try and find the correct timing to blindside one of those players ensuing onto the bomb site, then maybe things would have been a little bit different. That small little margin that SuckMyGlock had to defuse the bomb at the end may have just, that 1 or 2 extra seconds that it would have bought them may have secured the round for that T side. Of course, the last round of the half, both teams just trying to get the lead going into the second half. Secure a crucial round number 8 as bowlcutbandits will take mid control Thistle, what a wonderful spray down. Eventually traded out by Square, but he's done more than enough. He has the information as to where the majority of the Bowl Cut Bandits are, and the rotation's already in full effect there for SuckMyGlocks.
Yeah, they're very, very slow on this one, on the decision-making, whether to push in or not. That does allow a very quick rotation. They try and bait it out, you know, to draw that B player back towards B. Good flash comes through there from Greg's, and a nice little spot for Royal. No cheekiness to come through, and the fast trades an 8-7 half. As SuckMyGlock, towards the end, you know, looking really good. They bounce back, and arguably with the rifles a little more dominant. But as you can see, 7 of the 8 rounds that they won were all, you know, retake scenarios. Were all very, very close. Only one round I think I'm seeing there that they won with, you know, 5 players alive. So certainly a tough one, I think. Yeah, I think so.
5 players alive. It was an anti-eco.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a hard half for both teams. Pistol can have a hell of a lot of weight, I think, and SuckMyGlock certainly seems to be what they're going for. But Square picks up 2. Even without the team damage, he could have done a hell of a lot more there. It's a 3 versus 3, and we've got all 3 CTs coming in from Banana. Wide peek from Thistle. The bomb has yet to be planted as KPM kind of trapped himself in, and they've thrown this one away a little. The early frags went their way, and through the smoke, of course, Cynic will find the final kill. So 2 players picking up all 5. But again, SuckMyGlock, it was a really good start. However, just not able to convert.
And that was a great move from Square. He realized that if he had just ran towards the bomb site, there's only so many places he could actually hide, either towards the first or second oranges, and Bowl Cut Bandits were nowhere to be seen on those rotations. No one was coming in through CT, like you had pointed out, all of them coming up through Banana in the flank. So he had to just stand and fight, else he was likely to just fall and be overwhelmed on the bomb site. And he eventually walked away with 2 kills as a result. Bowl Cut Bandits now, surely they don't allow as much damage as they had done to them on the T side of things. Of course, things did come into a one-on-one as a result. This time, on the CT side of things, an easier affair to deal with just the pistols on SuckMyGlock.
Indeed. Ladeagle. Juan Deeg. Hamza. Not quite. We'll do a tiny bit of damage, but no kills coming through. A very clean anti-eco in the end from the Bowl Cut Bandits. BCB. A very, very close game. A very, very important game here. As we have said throughout, you know, it also affects kind of the results that SuckMyGlock particularly will need in the next game and perhaps the game after. But I feel, honestly, if they can't best the Bowl Cut Bandits, probably going to have a tough time against CEX as well.
Yeah.
Who, again, you know, that first game is a bit of a blip, but they certainly, we looked at them a little bit earlier as, again, they seem to have warmed up pretty well throughout the day. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one, to be honest, for the Bowl Cut Bandits.
And I think if they do want to play, or if they do end up playing the Bowl Cut Bandits in the finals again, I imagine they may avoid Cash, considering some of the individual performances.
It's got a bit of a randomness to it as well at the moment.
Of course. Being a very aim-dependent map, as well as a map that, well, people are familiar with in Pugs. You don't need all the protocols in the world, but you need to have players that are willing to take initiative and some map control individually, I think, on Cash primarily. Or at least have procedures in place that allow them to take it relatively risk-free.
Yep. Just fiddling with my pillow here. Trying to get comfortable as the day goes on.
Of course. Still got many a game ahead.
That's all right.
Woo. Many a kill still to be found in this round. Thistle does get 1. It's answered right back by Cynic on the rotation, but KPM is there. And he should at least be able to clear out the A site for his team. Eventually cutting off all of the angles, making sure that everything is fully safe for the plant to go down. Of course, it will be the 3-on-3 on the retake, but Square gets taken down by the AWP of Greg's, who will go and play a little bit more safe, instead playing for the post plant. It will be Zatchel in Miami to try and recover the ground for the Bowl Cut Bandit, but it's Amza from up high to take down Zatchel, and that will likely mean the call to save from Miami.
A tough pill to swallow. But from time to time, you don't really have much of a choice. He's trying to find some exits, but no one coming his way. SuckMyGlock doing well to exit together. This is slightly into the higher levels of Counter-Strike in this game, as opposed to, you know, some of the other games we spectated today where there is an element of randomness to it. Where, sure, there's some mechanics behind it, but there's not a great deal of the deeper strategy, the deeper nuance of, you know, just as simple as exiting together so that we can at least trade the kill if it does happen. You know, really does make a big difference.
Yeah, and the value of holding onto the weapon and keeping their economy high on the side of SuckMyGlock, because it has been a fairly turbulent affair for both sides. Like we've been saying and continue to reiterate, is that both these teams seem fairly even in terms of skill and how they like to play out either their T side and CT sides respectively, showing a lot of small glimpses of teamwork, even throwing flashes to clear out angles, throwing molotovs to make sure that a teammate can sort of scale onto the bomb site for those entries a little bit more efficiently. And probably the closest game that we're going to see out of the whole tournament so far.
Indeed. Very, very true. And one where this, you know, new economy will come into play. Spike peak coming through, the CZ not quite connecting. Square will go down early, and that's never good for the Bowl Cut Bandits. Sure, it's only a half buy, but certainly would be nice to find that kill. Could have given them a leg up here in round number 19.
Oh, and dry peek banana.
With a nade out with very little help.
Yeah.
Ooh. Cynic, though.
Gets the bomb as well in the undercard. Oh. He's found another pit as he descends. KPM gets dropped by the UMP. He's going on for the ace. Cynic has pulled off phenomenal heroics here for Bowl Cut Bandits. That's the ace on the UMP as well as an AWP upgrade off the back.
God damn. Very clean. UMP in its element there, and he plays it perfectly. Working around his teammates as well to get the reloads off and whatnot. Beautiful stuff. As we will try our damnedest to pull it back, say SuckMyGlock, but it's going to be a hard one. Some players feeling the burn in terms of the cash, not a great deal of utility in the bank. That could be one of those very important swing rounds that we're always talking about. Give it a little more time and maybe we will find out more. However, Bowl Cut Bandits very quickly into this round, getting slightly too big for their boots. As they rush straight down, or I say they, it was just kind of Square on his lonesome. Again, very dry, very little, just hoping to catch someone off with nades, but a flash never goes amiss. Square will go down early. It's also going to be a retrieved AK for Amza, importantly. So this is, you know, maybe a throw, a swing back from the T side, but then we're finding a few frags across the board for everybody. It's kind of back and forth. Flash out almost at the wrong time. It's actually not really going to blind anybody up, to be honest. Royal will find Cynic. Satchel has to do more than just one. As now Lucan will be Lucan to save. That was so forced, but
you called me out for
it's been a long day.
Yeah,
mate.
You called me out for a bad one earlier, so I feel like it's only fair.
Indeed. You call yourself out before other people can. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
That's the play.
The thing is, like, if you make bad jokes consistently enough, you can always you can just be like, that's just my style.
Ah, yeah, but it gets a
cringe
bit.
humor is a real thing.
I know, but it just gets a bit much. Do you know what I mean? I'm more into like a little bit of dark humor. I don't think that flies. Also like some simple stuff, but you know, you seen a new Ricky Gervais thing on Netflix?
I have not.
I don't know if you've seen that. It's called Afterlife. Pretty funny. Pretty good. But that's a very different. See, we could go on about this for hours. I'm quite pretentious when it comes to like comedy and films and all that kind of stuff. But it's a very different like style of comedy. Like what we're sort of doing is puns, like wordplay, right? But Ricky Gervais is like character-based comedy. There's less funny lines and more funny.
It's like situational humor.
Sort of. It's more like this guy's a bit goofy. What Ricky Gervais does very well is he taps into, you know, the finger on the pulse type thing of, you know, you work in an office job. There's definitely someone like that. There's definitely someone like that. You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of The Office came from, right? His
creating
characters.
relatable characters.
Yeah, and then adding a little bit more of comedy to them. Whereas like no one in the world is like Jerry Seinfeld. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's so over the top and stuff, and it is very much down to the situation. No one in the world really is like Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah.
You know.
And I feel like that's what made Curb Your Enthusiasm such a good show as well. If you've watched that, the same sort of. These are potentially real enough, but also exaggerated people, where you're sort of like, I can see a person in my life kind of similar to that.
For sure. And like, there's also kind of the style that comes into it where, kind of my favorite style when the comedy, where it's more of a drama, but with like comedic elements. And I think again, like Ricky Gervais, at least in this particular series, does it quite well, where it is actually kind of dark, 'cause it's about like his wife, you know, dies prior to the show.
Right.
And then it's how he handles it, and he gets very, very depressed and very negative towards the world and other people. But ultimately, it is a dark comedy.
Right.
You know, it's more about his journey, getting through it, and all that kind of stuff, but with comedic elements in it. Highly recommend, and to anybody out there, I mean, you tuned in for CS, but you know, this is just what it's come to. It's been 15 hours,
yeah,
almost 16. Yeah. A really good show is Boston Legal with William Shatner.
Okay.
I'm
terrible at actor names. I'm legitimately awful at it.
Captain Kirk, mate.
Yeah, okay.
James Spader, personal favourite actor of mine. If you've ever seen The Blacklist or Age of Ultron, plays Ultron. Pretty in Pink, if you're into your John Hughes, which is like, have you heard of The Breakfast Club?
Just have. I do.
Yeah, same director, so it's a very similar vibe. But anyway, CS time. Oh my goodness, 2 very quick kills as they're rushing down middle. You know, rather than kind of going into the films and things like that. That's a whole other thing, whole other podcast. You know, it's always the classic, right? When we're on long days, you start mini podcast ideas throughout the day. But we've got, you know, the saved AWP here, but now a retrieved AK and a man advantage for the Bowl-Cut Bandits. So it's a messy, messy start for SuckMyGlock, but certainly one that they can come back from.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for them moving forward into this round is that Square's gotten himself an AK. Lucan still had the AWP from the previous round, and there's the potential for these weapons to have greater effectiveness than they could have made use of if they were on the T side of things, because they can just hold angles, play headshot angles that SuckMyGlock need to hit great shots in order to answer back on. They are beginning a slow approach up through the arches, and they've been able to slip past the gaze of the AWP in Lucan. Creeping on through CT, he'll clear out the arches, but the timing's all wrong. They're already in through CT, and SuckMyGlock have potentially a free bomb site to plant through.
Yeah, taking their time about it is kind of the right way to play this, I think, because it's going to continue to add to that, you know, questionable nature. Going to get a bit faster to clear the site out. Might not be expecting Miami to be, you know, so aggressively pushed down here. He's going to get that information in as well, that, you know, there's a few smokes and things on towards the B bomb site. Royal in an advanced position to play it passively. They're certainly nervous here on the SuckMyGlock side of things coming into this 4-on-3 retake scenario. Again, the B bomb site, very difficult to retake, certainly with the pistols as well. There is a kit in play and an unarmored AK, not ideal. Tag comes down with the AWP. Lucan going to have to do a lot of work here. We'll find one. A second as well comes in quickly. I think he knows that the final player is in at dark, and he will very quickly try and take him down as the bomb ticking away. He gets it. As I think we heard that a bit preemptively, there was a very loud scream indeed. The defuse going to come through quite easily. 11-10 as the back and forth nature continues.
And to get that kill through the first oranges.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I don't think people respect how wall-bangable they actually are, those spots, to be honest.
Even with an AK, you could just get completely peppered through it.
I did it with an AUG once, right? Like on Newbox quite recently. You know, a guy was on Lucan feeling it, by the way. But yeah, a guy was at Newbox. I had the AUG. I was just tapping through, you know, where it's kind of the sheet rather than the
the sheet of wood.
The little
Newbox.
The cylinders, I guess. I'm not really sure.
I think they're like missiles.
Something like that. Yeah. And you know, I like headshot the guy straight through it and like one tapped him. Yeah. So I don't think people respect, like I say, quite how wall bangable they are. Either way, very early opener coming through for the Bowl Cut Bandits as they edge ever closer to that 16-round mark. Looking dangerous to SuckMyGlock, especially if they lose this one. Not going to have a great deal of money. Already feeling the burn with very little utility and a Galil in play. So economically not being supported very well. A very, very aggressive peek coming in from Satchel. Off the back, it's not a great flashbang, but Lucan feeling it on the AWP. There's a player on the site to deal with in the form of Miami, not going well, as they are working very, very well together here on this site. A 1 versus 3 now for Thistle.
I think feeling it is definitely the right way to describe how Lucan is playing with this AWP. Just taking fight after fight and lining up the angles perfectly to mitigate the push there from SuckMyGlock. Thistle, the only remaining player, as he attempts to approach it from a different angle. Of course, because he has delayed his hit towards that A site, they do have to rotate Cynic back towards B just in case he did rotate through Banana, but it is instead Lucan. It was the 3K in the previous round on the retake. It's a 4K to defend the A bomb site, and bowlcut bandits, a huge swing of momentum, and an individual that's really stepped up in these past couple of rounds. That's 7 kills. He's on 17 in the past 2 rounds, and SuckMyGlock are going to be, well, on Glocks, as well as the P250 and Deagle.
Yeah, the name literal in this round for 3 of the 5 players. Either way, early aggression into the apartment. So not quite sure on that smoke there, Zatcher. It actually gives, you know, an opportunity for the T side to kind of cross unknowingly or maybe push through it secretly type thing. And they are going to go for the waterfall play. Lucan looks away at the wrong time, gives him a lot of control, but doing really well. Chiming well with Zatchel to find the 3K, as it will be a cleanup that they are going to be fairly happy with, really. 13 to 10.
He's had 10 kills in 3 rounds.
Mate, he's nuts. I'm
not keeping track of Lucan. His personal journey through these past few rounds has been, as I imagine, revitalized bowlcut bandits in a different way. The fact that an individual is stepping up to that caliber to shut down the pushes consistently from SuckMyGlock, that'll be a huge issue for them moving forward. And they're just going to try and go over towards B, where Lucan hasn't been playing traditionally, but is here in this instance. He's there with the AWP once again. He'll deliver on 2, but cannot line up a third. It's Cynic to cut off Greggs, who is lurking in towards middle. It's still the 2-on-2 as SuckMyGlock do dial in the digits at B.
It's actual, a lot of the weight of this 2 versus 2 is going to be on his shoulders. A lot of utility for Cynic though. Flash to go through. It doesn't actually blind up KPM, but he was turning away and, you know, gets taken down because of it. Now on to Amza. He'll get Molotov down. A wide peak finds a clean headshot and an easy spray down. Cynic will fall as he was on that 19 HP around there, and SuckMyGlock managed their 11th round. Better late than never, I suppose, but the bowlcut bandits, you know, kind of in a spot to shut them down relatively quickly. Sure, they're going to have that max loss bonus, you know, coming in. I don't even think it'll be max. It'll be like, oh God, we'll have to have a look on the scoreboard
yeah,
here.
It'll be 3rd loss bonus.
So that's 2,400, right? Yep. So yeah, not going to be ideal for them, as you can see. They're really deep into the pockets. Lucan, though, he's going to open up early on once again on that AWP. Ever consistent in these past few rounds, like you've been saying. And possibly an opportunity for them to crush their opponents here and now, off the back of it.
Yeah, top banana control taken by SuckMyGlock. This time not contested as heavily as we saw in the previous round. No early nades deployed, nades that bowlcut bandits didn't have to bring into this round anyway, so if they did want to put some pressure on SuckMyGlock, it would have had to be these players rotating in front that typically play the A-bomb site to take control. Instead, that won't be on the cards. And so, bowlcut bandits are going to rely on Cynic to get some information in middle. And although he's able to get the 1 kill straight back in, Satchel is there to trade back another kill, but it's 1-for-1 exchanges. SuckMyGlock still at a man's advantage for now, but overpowering Lucan is a big task in and of itself, but SuckMyGlock achieve it. They get the bomb planted, and now again into another 2-on-2.
Royal on 3 HP, certainly going to be a detriment here, but then there's a UMP for Miami. There's issues all over. Great smoke here, but it allows them to push up pretty close. I don't think Royal's going to be ready for this, and again, on the low HP, in the open, ultimately it's hard for him. He does spot out Miami, but not able to convert the kill. Amza hidden at the back of the site, though. The time is kind of on his side here. The bomb very far ticked. However, he has to go for quite a wide peek on towards it and needs to move quickly. The hold comes through, but it's not quite good enough. Amza will pick up the 2K, and SuckMyGlock once again get away with absolute murder to pull through to their 12th round. It is so very close, so very hard to call right now. And bowlcutbandits certainly going to be feeling pretty down and out after that.
And we highlight Lucan on the side of bowlcutbandits. That's another 1v2 that Amza has been able to clutch out for SuckMyGlock in these past 2 rounds. I was thinking maybe the bowlcutbandits were beginning to ride a bit of a high, but Amza has certainly shot them down a peg or two.
I mean, it's perfect timing from him on that clutch as well, because he kind of waits just long enough that you're given that false sense of hope that you might just be able to get the 5-second hold in. So you're not really thinking to come off of it. It was just very well done on the timing, really.
So it will be the UMP and CZs in play here for bowlcutbandits. They trade successfully on the B-bomb side. Of course, one more player there than the typical setups here from that CT side. Typically 3 players on the A side of the map. Cynic will push in through the apartments, but as he begins to retreat, actually gets to blindside KPM, but not before he's able to take down his teammate in Zatchel, and that's the A site presence. He's now gone for bowlcutbandits. That's the 2 versus 3, and although they have an SMG to work with, Square doesn't have any armor, Lucan doesn't have any armor himself, just the P250 in hand. This is about doing as much damage as possible because it has come down to these clutch situations for SuckMyGlocks, and so they won't have that huge reserve bank to fall back on.
Very true. And a bit of extra cash never hurts. Going to move in together here, in fact. Try and find an exit or two, maybe. Obviously, the round completely out of the question at this point. But like you say, a cheeky few frags could really benefit them. Try and play the exits. Amza finds both the kills, but Square does get one in the process. Amza very lucky as well to survive on 14 HP there. So certainly a lot of money earned in places and a lot of money spent in places. This round, I think, is going to decide the course of this game, to be honest, the winner of this game.
It almost feels like individuals across the server are saying a little prayer. They're being gifted significant powers in the past few rounds, but that means that those powers should soon change hands. bowlcutbandits looking in a very aggressive play down towards bottom B. Square delivers on a double kill, but so does Thistle. Cynic does get the kill on towards Royal, and that will at least prevent SuckMyGlock from making any rash decisions. They won't commit towards that B side push just yet, but it will mean that this CT side defense has to separate.
Maybe not the wisest of decisions, but then they don't have kits. You know, they need that information as early as possible. A good position from Zatchel could certainly catch them off here. Oh, but he's going to move in towards the T side, in fact. KPM ready for it, takes him down. And I feel like Cynic has no choice but to save, to be honest. 50 HP, other side of the map, but then maybe you kind of have to go for this. It's a difficult one to call, but SuckMyGlock going to be having a pretty hefty advantage. Arguably, you know, winning the game off the back of it, like I say. Cynic going to expend a bit of utility and just go for it. Ball to the wall, but he will get taken down immediately. 14 to 13, and now no money for the CTs at all. It's going to need a miracle at this point. It is looking dire for them. They do have some money, but very, very little. And an argument to be made for saving that M4 might just have given them, you know, a slightly better buy coming into this one, in all honesty. But again, it's in that territory of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And interesting that they don't hedge their bets and actually just allow SuckMyGlock onto round number 15. We've seen the impact that AWP has for bowlcutbandits, but instead they're just going to force into this. SMGs galore, and they're going to need to be aggressive to make use of those limited engagement angles that you can take with those weapons. Very fast peek in from Thistle will catch Cynic off guard, and he was the one player that they had trusted to hold onto the A side of things. Bowlcut, they'll need to be a response instead towards B.
Lucan not taking any chances.
And SuckMyGlock haven't made any ground either. off of the back of that kill. Given that
True,
Cynic was kind of in no man's land as well, they're not springing to any quick decisions just yet.
Easy peasy. Left mid smoke. So I'm going to go a bit deeper, I think, towards the back end. I think. Or isn't there a skybox there? I think
that's
kind of
towards the
answers the
arches.
question. Is it an arch smoke? Either way. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Not one that I'd seen before, to be honest. Most of the arch smokes that I know has come from a bit closer, you know? From like the right-hand
yeah,
side.
so actually in the arch as opposed to just left side middle, but SuckMyGlock played this round as well as they could have hoped. Zatchel will try his darndest to bring things back here for bowlcutbandits, but it's into the hands of Miami, and he's only got the CZ in hand, a kit, as well as some armor to play with. Certainly an argument to be made to hold on to all of this, but he's going to try and pull off heroics. He does take down Greg's, and that's a weapon that can be recovered. Only the pistol still left. He'll begin to run out of ammo should he get into another fight without retrieving a weapon. So that's a significant upgrade that he's going to take. Amps up. He's had the hot hand for SuckMyGlock, and he'll fire off those bullets. Miami down to 15 HP, and he will scare him away from the retake altogether. bowlcutbandits now backs against the wall here is SuckMyGlock. We said they needed all 3 wins, or at least 2 wins, I think, to get themselves into the higher seeded spots, and they're going to take down one of the higher contenders in bowlcutbandits, it seems.
Maybe.
Unless we go to another overtime.
What is it? Don't count your blessings.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch?
Yeah, but I'm sure there's one with blessings. Do you know what I mean? Don't count your blessings before something similar to eggs.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a comparison to hatching eggs.
Give it. I mean, we're on a pause. Give it a Google. Always educational here at the Grosvenor Casino.
Excuse me. That can't be correct.
So Reddit's saying don't count your blessings before they hatch.
I just don't believe that. Malo 4. I feel like that's like metaphor, but like wrong.
I mean, I'm not sure. I think it might be like the American version, but then like.
How can you hatch blessings?
Don't know.
Which came first, the blessing or the egg?
I don't know. I swear there is one with that though. Don't count your blessings before they come to fruition, but that's not really like. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Yeah. But the point still stands. You never know. bowlcutbandits might just pull this one back here. They have a fair amount of utility. Love this. Beautiful.
Yep.
Works out. Miami gets aggressive off the back of it. They might not be expecting this, and this might just be the change that they need. However, KPM, he's smart. He's very smart. There's 2 players there. There's 2 key players as well. They double peek at the same time. They're not expecting another. So at least it is traded back. At least it is kept competitive. They don't commit heavily to the apps push, and rightly so, because they were going for the 3 players in total in apps on the CT side. Excuse me. Certainly not something that we see very often. Again, been a bit of a long day, and I just chugged a bit of water down, so you know it could have been a hell of a lot worse, right?
We've seen some weird things on stream before, I believe.
Yeah.
We've not on this broadcast. Certain CS streams with nosebleeds occurring midstream, still powering through it as we would power through it. No, not to myself.
So I know you're pro, and we did a bit of flying together. And,
oh yes, no, I do remember.
Like in the airport or whatever.
I do remember. That was a bit grim.
Yeah, not good.
But SuckMyGlock, I feel like, are beginning to lose a bit of lose track of the time. I mean, there's 35 seconds remaining. The bomb is still down towards the T steps. Miami had pushed pretty aggressively through the T apartments, and SuckMyGlock now have to be on the recovery, and that will limit the amount of space that they're able to create towards each of these respective bomb sites. Amsa will deploy some utility over towards B and try and create some additional space that they can work with, but he hasn't cleared out the bomb site just yet. He'll wait for his teammates to begin making their way through the smoke. Amsa finds the first Lucan and Square doubling up together to find all the kills necessary. That will prevent SuckMyGlock from continuing just yet. And overtime is certainly still on the cards. As we talked about the adage, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Maybe getting a bit ahead of myself, as SuckMyGlock are in a bit of a stickly situation now. Only 3 AKs and a couple of upgraded pistols. Actually, the 4th. invested in it just the end there. Oh my, this is a very ambitious call from...
Indeed. Love it, though. Could we be seeing the 2 overtimes in a row? I mean, certainly exciting, but very, very strenuous, for sure. For not only us, but the players, you have to bear that in mind as well. It's been a long day for them. Not quite as long, so I don't want to hear any complaining from them. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, it's all good. Either way.
Everyone's making an effort.
Yeah.
Giving it their all.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we all have our demons of the day, I suppose. A very slow apartments take here. A bit of action on B to, again, you know, keep the CTs distracted, bait out a bit of utility, make sure that they aren't going to gamble stack a bomb site. The nature of Inferno, you find a lot of these rounds end up being very, very slow. It is not a map that suits itself to rushes and things like your overpasses and your caches and your dusts in places.
Especially with all those pre-nades.
Exactly. You have to bait out a lot of utility to make the late round execute that inevitably you end up going for a lot easier. We are getting into the final 30 seconds. A lot of damage done by Lukin, but not quite able to find the kill. Deep smoke on towards the balcony as well to allow them to push out. 1-for-1 trade. Miami, oh, he just dodges away as KPM will spot him because he turned from the flash. It's a 4-on-2 and a hard retake. But again, a weak buy and a lot of low HP players. It is certainly doable, but it does come down to finding the shots. Some tough angles. Best through the smoke. Royal going to take down Zatchel as it's now a 1 versus 4 for Square, and he's taken down from the side. 16-14 in the end. SuckMyGlock eventually will be able to secure it out, and a great string of rounds towards the end. As you can see, it took a while for bowlcutbandits to get their 14th. But towards the end, it was SuckMyGlock with that momentum who managed to secure it. No overtime, unfortunately, but still a hell of a competitive game. And again, the stakes were very high. This next game against CEX is going to be very, very important for SuckMyGlock. That is for sure. Unfortunately, bowlcutbandits were not able to step up to the challenge. And they will, I suppose, be kind of knocked down a little bit. It sort of depends on how CEX do here. It's going to be interesting to see.
I believe that's their second loss so far. So
right.
I
so
think
if
this
CEX
is about
lose, suddenly we've got 2 teams on the same scoreline. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then we'd have a pretty
breaker.
Yeah. So
God,
currently,
I hope CEX win. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But,
Well, currently, SuckMyGlock I think are 4-0 now.
Just for the sake of everybody. Right.
So both CEX and now I suppose bowlcutbandits have sustained losses. This is the second loss, I believe, for bowlcutbandits.
So suppose whatever happens, probably going to end up playing all 3 games. It just sort of changes from, if SuckMyGlock win the next one, it'll be CEX maybe having to play against bowlcutbandits again to decide who gets through to that final. If SuckMyGlock lose, they have to play that final game to find out whether they will... well, that's cool.
Yeah,
I guess.
We've got a bit of a fight for the top 3 right now.
Yeah, I mean it's really competitive. You know, all memes aside on how long the day has been, it is going to be a really interesting finish to things. You know, because these 3 teams clearly within the same kind of ballpark. CEX maybe with their solid lineup or a bit more time with the stand-ins and things might have been able to wipe the floor, but that's not been the case.
Yeah,
and it certainly made for some interesting Counter-Strike. I think it is now though. In all fairness, I mean, we're on 9 o'clock, probably going to get 2 more games in, whatever happens by the sounds of things. So there now becomes a bit of an issue with the final. I mean, technically we can stay here for however long we want. It's a 24-hour venue.
Yeah.
I think they close a bit on Sunday or whatever at like 4 o'clock, but obviously we're not going to be in that late.
Of course, people do need to remember that as well. Because it's a one-day event, we do need to pack everything away at the end of the day.
Yes.
With or without the help of the players. So
would be nice to get some help from them. But at the same time, I'm sure they want to get away because it's all, again, it's been a very long day. Now it's been like a 12-hour day for them, for some of them that turned up a bit early.
And this is a very community-focused event, right? So, I mean, we want these sort of like grassroots teams coming up, although we did see a few stomps earlier on into the day. I mean, it kind of happened in the middle of the day, really.
Yeah, we've had
the matchups.
The split of the fun boys and the competitive boys. And now the fun boys, for the most part, have gone home or just sat around watching because they don't have any chance of getting back into it. And now we're into the nitty-gritty, the proper CS, as it were.
Yeah. Well, of course, we do still have more of SuckMyGlock to come straight after this. I'm not quite sure which of the opponents they'll face just up against next, but every win is crucial for them as they fight for a place in the top 3, potentially the top 2, trying to secure a spot in the finals. But don't go anywhere, we've got more to come just after a short break.